Bonjour tout le monde, ça va? Oui, excellent. Donc, je vais commencer avec une déclaration. Je vais parler un peu de l'enjeu qui touche les travailleurs et travailleuses dans le secteur aérospatial. On a eu des années d'insécurité, d'imprévisibilité, et c'est complètement pas acceptable parce qu'on a beaucoup de travailleurs à ce moment qui veulent avoir de sécurité. Donc, avec le processus dans le secteur aérospatial, avec les CF-18, c'est toujours pas clair qu'est-ce que le gouvernement va faire. Donc, ce qu'on demande, on exige le gouvernement de s'assurer dans ce processus, dans le montant de 19 milliards de dollars, qu'il faut avoir des garanties pour s'assurer qu'on protège les emplois. En plus, on veut voir une augmentation des emplois, mais au moins, il faut avoir des garanties pour protéger les emplois dans ce secteur. Il faut avoir une stratégie nationale aérospatiale pour s'assurer qu'on a une vision, une clarité de comment on allait de l'avant pour protéger ce secteur et de promouvoir les emplois. Donc, ça, c'est quelque chose de tellement important. Je suis ici avec mon chef agent et aussi le président de ce secteur. Donc, je laisse la parole à eux. Before passing on the stage to my colleagues that are here with me, my deputy leader, as well as the president that represents the workers of the sector, I want to say that for a long time, there's been a lack of clarity when it comes to the CF-18 dossier in that portfolio. There's been a lot of lack of clarity for workers who are concerned that with $19 million potentially, $19 billion potentially with this offer, that Canadians need to know that there is a guarantee to protect the existing jobs, but also some sort of guarantee to actually expand on those jobs and create more jobs. With $19 billion at stake, there's got to be some clear commitments and guarantees that we protect the sector here in Canada. The fact that over the years we've not seen that clarity shows why we've been calling so long for a clear national strategy when it comes to our aerospace sector. We've got a strong foundation. We need to build on that with a national strategy that sets out clear guidelines for how we can build on our current success and create more jobs and protect the jobs we have. So now we'll hear from Alexandre Boulerice and then afterwards from the President. Thank you.
Merci. Merci, Jagmeet. Bonjour tout le monde. Ça me fait extrêmement plaisir d'être ici aujourd'hui. En même temps, si on est là, c'est parce qu'il y a un enjeu qu'il faut être capable de régler rapidement. Parce que le gouvernement fédéral, Ottawa, se traîne les pieds depuis des années. Moi, la première fois que j'ai été élu ici, là, en 2011, on parlait du remplacement de la flotte aérienne du Canada et les conservateurs n'ont rien réglé. Les libéraux avaient promis de régler ça puis d'avoir un processus qui soit clair et transparent. 4 ans plus tard, c'est toujours pas réglé. Et on va se le dire, là, le secteur aérospatial, c'est un secteur extrêmement important au Canada, particulièrement au Québec, où il y a des milliers d'emplois qui sont en jeu, puis il y a une expertise claire et précise aussi de gens qui sont capables de faire le travail. Il y a tout un écosystème en aéronautique et aérospatial au Québec puis au Canada qu'il faut protéger. Là, on a une occasion en or. Le gouvernement fédéral a une occasion en or de faire en sorte que ce 19 milliards de dollars-là, qui va être dépensé pour remplacer des avions qui sont très usés et très âgés, mais que ça nous profite à nous, que ça maintienne des emplois, que ça crée des emplois. Et on va entendre de la part du président de la section locale 712 des Machinistes à quel point ces gens-là ont une expertise puis une capacité de bien faire leur travail qui est reconnue à travers le monde. Alors là, on est dans un processus qui est, beaucoup trop lent, qui est très confus et qui manque énormément de transparence. Ce qui fait en sorte que certains acteurs importants comme Airbus se sont retirés du dossier, ce qui enlève un peu de compétitivité en ce moment dans cet appel d'offres-là. Et on a de la difficulté à savoir c'est quoi les changements de critères, c'est quoi exactement les garanties de maintien d'emploi qu'on va avoir ici et dans quel secteur. Est-ce qu'on parle de pièces? Est-ce qu'on parle d'assemblage? Est-ce qu'on parle de modernisation des appareils? Est-ce qu'on parle d'entretien puis de maintenance régulière? C'est pas du tout clair en ce moment. On veut avoir beaucoup plus de garanties sur le maintien des emplois et ça me fait plaisir là-dessus de donner la parole au président de la section locale 712 des Machinistes, M. Yvon Paiement, qui va être capable de vous parler de gens qu'il représente, qui travaillent au Québec, à Mirabel, entre autres, et puis qui sont capables de faire un boulot, un travail extraordinaire.
Merci. Bonjour tout le monde. Merci de votre présence. Premièrement, je remercie le NPD qui nous soutient depuis nombre d'années dans l'aérospatiale. Je demande surtout aussi aux autres partis de l'opposition de se joindre à nous et d'adopter une position qui va favoriser nos travailleurs chez nous au Québec, chez L3, Harris en particulier. Ces avions de chasse qu'on fait les F-18 depuis plus de 35 ans, qu'on fait de la réparation, qu'on fait de la modernisation sur les avions. Puis effectivement, c'est des avions très usagés, mais nos travailleurs et travailleuses ont prouvé au fil des années que faire ce travail-là, c'était une routine. Ça devenait une routine tellement qu'ils sont qualifiés à faire ce travail-là. Vous savez, au Québec, on a besoin de garder nos emplois chez nous. C'est important de garder nos emplois. On le répète, on le répète, on le répète. On fait plein de sorties, mais en particulier, il faut que le gouvernement fédéral, effectivement, se positionne en faveur des gens qui travaillent chez nous, qu'on maintienne de l'emploi. C'est le fun aussi de créer de l'emploi, mais on va commencer par maintenir des emplois. Ça, c'est ce qui est le plus important. Puis nos gens chez L3 Harris sont dans l'incertitude au moment où on se parle. Ils ont besoin de savoir. Puis effectivement, ça fait plusieurs années que le dossier traîne. Puis on espère sincèrement qu'il va y avoir du changement dans les prochains mois, les prochaines semaines. Fait que je remercie encore le NPD de nous appuyer. C'est grandement apprécié. Si vous avez des questions, ça va nous faire plaisir d'y répondre.
Monsieur Singh, sur ce dossier-là, est-ce que vous allez en faire une condition pour appuyer le gouvernement dans le discours du trône, par exemple? Est-ce que vous voulez que ce soit inséré dans le discours du trône l'avenir des CF-18 et leur remplacement?
Donc, en général, je peux dire que la protection des emplois, c'est une priorité pour l'NPD. C'était toujours une priorité. Nous sommes un parti fondé par les travailleurs et travailleuses, donc ça va être toujours une priorité. Aussi, quand on parle des emplois, ça c'est pourquoi, quand on parle de la crise climatique et comment on fait face à la crise climatique, il faut toujours protéger les emplois et s'assurer qu'on ne laisse personne à côté. Donc, ça va être toujours une priorité. Mais je ne donne pas des lignes rouges à ce moment, mais je veux dire que c'est une priorité pour nous.
Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec Jean Charest sur le fait que pour assurer l'avenir de cette industrie-là, il faut absolument que le gouvernement Trudeau nomme des ministres qui seraient délégués au secteur de l'aérospatial, notamment au commerce international?
Oui, je pense que ce qu'elle a soulevé, c'est un manque de priorité pour le secteur aérospatial. Et je suis d'accord qu'il y avait toujours, depuis des années, un manque de priorité pour ce secteur essentiel. Et je suis ouvert à comment on peut trouver une façon de donner la priorité à ce secteur. Si la solution, c'est de présenter une autre façon de formulation des ministres ou d'une autre façon de s'assurer que l'importance de ce secteur soulève, je suis ouvert aux discussions, mais la grande importance, c'est ça, qu'on donne une priorité à ce secteur qui est essentiel dans notre économie nationale.
What's your main priority heading into tomorrow's meeting with the Prime Minister, and what do you want to see coming out of that meeting?
Sure, I was going to come to you, so that's great. When it comes down to it, Canadians voted, and I respect the results. Nearly 3 million Canadians supported the New Democrats, and we are the voice for people. And what we've seen for too long in Ottawa is that the rich and powerful have a voice. They've got a voice in the Liberal Party and in the Conservative Party. But everyday working class families don't have a voice, and we are their voice, and we're going to fight for them. So that's one thing top of mind. In terms of our priorities, we laid out some of those already. I've laid out our priorities during the campaign. But more recently, I've said really clearly that there's 3 things that I want to see happen specifically. 2 things that I talked about were the clear commitment to pharmacare. And we know that Canadians are worried about healthcare. This is something that would unite Canadians across the country. People consider that a priority. And we want to see a commitment to universal, publicly delivered pharmacare for all. And that means a timeline, a framework. That means making sure that we've got some clear steps that are going to be indicated in the throne speech, and that's what I'm looking for. Also, throughout the campaign, we heard a lot of people talking about dental care, and it's come to attention that Canadians are really worried about not having access to dental care. So that's got to be, I want to see an openness to dental care from the Prime Minister in the throne speech. We also talked about the importance of justice for First Nations and for the first people of this land. And a starting point would be to drop the appeal against First Nations kids. We've called on the government to do that. That would be a priority we'd like to see in the throne speech. And finally, fighting the climate crisis. This is something that is essential. Canadians voted in a large way to say that we need to act boldly and immediately to tackle the climate crisis, I want to see some clear commitments. Ending fossil fuel subsidies, reinvesting to ensure that no one is left behind. We know a lot of Canadians are worried about their jobs. And when they hear the words climate crisis, they hear maybe a loss of jobs. And we don't want that to be the case. We want Canadians to know, with New Democrats, we're going to fight to protect jobs, make sure that no one's left behind. These are some of the things we want to see in the throne speech coming out.
Mr. Singh, have you spoken to any of the opposition leaders about these priorities? I mean, about talking with them, about working with them?
So we've put those out in terms of our priorities. I'm looking forward to meeting with the Prime Minister tomorrow and talking about these issues, and I'm open to meeting with other leaders on these topics. Right now, our first focus is tomorrow's meeting with the Prime Minister, and then we'll build from there. But these are things that Canadians want to see happen. We know that Canadians are worried about the future, and there's some clear things we can do, investing in healthcare, dental care, pharmacare, and making sure we fight the climate crisis in a way that creates jobs and that leaves no worker behind are some of the priorities.
Working with anyone outside of the government?
We're absolutely open to working with anyone who believes and supports our values and that wants to advance these things. I'm happy to have conversations with anyone.
Mr. Singh, you said on pharmacare, you said that the first bill that the NDP would introduce would be a private members bill for single-payer pharmacare, but private members bills can't contain provisions that spend money. So does the NDP have a second bill or a first bill that is realistic that it will be introducing once Parliament gets underway?
So you're absolutely right that private members bills can't have money attached to it. That's why our first bill would be a framework for how to achieve universal pharmacare. And that framework will lay out things like a timeline, lay out some first steps that can be taken, and lay out the type of pharmacare that we want, the universal pharmacare that would cover everyone, that would be publicly delivered, and that would ensure that all Canadians get access to this care, that would reduce our costs, save money for businesses, and also just help people out in a massive way. So our bill will be a framework, not a bill that is money specific as the requirements of private members' bills are.
And I can't help but notice that Mr. Garrison isn't here today. Will he not be handling the defense file for your party?
No, we've not assigned, thank you for noting that, we've not assigned our critic portfolios. As my deputy leader and someone who represents the province of Quebec and the workers of Quebec who are those who are most impacted by this uncertainty when it comes to the CF-18 file, Mr. Boulerice is here because of that. Yes, we'll start here and we'll come there.
You mentioned that you wanted to hear these things in the throne speech.
Yes.
Now, if you don't hear them, does that mean that the NDP is going to consider voting against the throne speech, or abstaining, or voting for it? What are we looking at here? An abstention versus an open vote for the government?
We're absolutely open to voting against the throne speech if it doesn't include some of the priorities that we know that Canadians need. Yeah.
The process to replace the CF-18s is well underway. What specifically are you asking for here that is achievable for these workers?
So we know that in the bidding process, there's an element that includes an economic benefit for Canadians. What we're concerned is that when we see the Liberal government make decisions in the past, though there's some protections in place, they've chosen to help out the rich and powerful corporations, and they've neglected workers. So I'm really highlighting the plight of Canadian workers. I want to make sure that that is a priority in the process, and that protecting those jobs has to be a guarantee. We've not heard any guarantees yet.
But specifically, what do you want done? Do you want to see the new fighter jets assembled in Canada? Because that's not part of the process right now.
I just want to see those jobs protected, and what form that takes is something that is a guarantee that ensures that these good workers have their expertise and their skills put to use, and that those jobs are protected. And I also want to see a commitment to increase those jobs. That's really what I'd like to see, and I'd like to see a guarantee from this government that they're going to make that a priority and make that a guarantee.
Do you think any of the bidders, the F-35, for example, is preferable to the other ones? Do you have any preferred bidder for the replacement of fighter jets?
I don't. I just have my preference is Canadians. I want to make sure that Canadians and Canadian workers are guaranteed employment and guaranteed jobs, and whatever process does that, it's got to be open and transparent and make Canadian workers a priority.
Can you give some examples of where contracts have been awarded that have benefited the rich and powerful as opposed to Canadians?
Well, I've seen that this government has made those choices regularly. One example is this. When we look at the pharmacare that we've been proposing, we've talked about how important it is to have a universal, publicly delivered pharmacare. And what the Liberals have done is come back and said, okay, we're not going to commit to that. They met with the pharmaceutical and insurance industry lobbyists hundreds of times and abandoned commitments to reduce the cost of medication. Instead of helping out families, chosen to help out the powerful pharmaceutical companies. So I'm concerned that their track record has been that they promised to end fossil fuel subsidies. Instead of ending those subsidies, they continued with them. And so we've seen again and again that this government says nice things, but they don't follow through on it. And that's why I want to make sure that there's a commitment for these workers that ensures that those jobs are protected and that Canadian jobs are a priority in whatever we do moving forward.
Sur le pipeline Trans Mountain, s'il y a une allusion à ce pipeline, à ce projet dans le discours du soir, est-ce que ça pourrait vous amener à voter contre parce que votre position est assez claire sur la question du pipeline Trans Mountain?
Est-ce que vous pouvez répéter la question?
Si jamais dans le discours du trône, M. Trudeau fait allusion à ce projet, disant qu'il veut que ce projet aille de l'avant, est-ce que ça pourrait être un élément qui vous empêcherait de voter pour le discours du trône?
J'étais tellement clair, je suis contre cette pipeline. J'étais contre, je vais continuer d'être contre. Et pour moi, je veux voir dans le discours des engagements pour investir dans l'énergie renouvelable, d'arrêter les subventions pétrolières, de s'assurer qu'on a des éléments concrets pour faire face à la crise climatique. Donc, j'attends ces éléments, ces engagements.
What's the red line in the sand for you in the throne speech?
So we're not putting forward any red lines, but I'm prepared to vote against it if it doesn't respect the values that we have as a party that reflect what Canadians need. So we've made it clear that we want to see some real commitments on healthcare, on pharmacare. We want to see an openness to dental care. We want to see concrete steps to tackling the climate crisis. If we don't see these reflected, we don't see commitments that are in line with what Canadians want.
All of those things have to be in it?
If we don't see the commitments reflected in a meaningful way, we're prepared to vote against. I'm keeping an open mind, and I'm not drawing any lines in the sand, but I'm making it really clear I am prepared to vote against, our party is prepared to vote against if it doesn't reflect the important things that Canadians sent us here to do.
I guess, vote against something without making some clear lines in the sand, because you're going to go talk to the Prime Minister tomorrow, or, and how can you say that?
Well, so I can't presuppose that I'm going to vote against without having met with the Prime Minister. I don't know if he's going to be open or not. I'm hoping he will be open, and I want to be constructive. So I'm not going to draw any lines in the sand right now. I'm going to meet with the Prime Minister, put forward what I think are important priorities for Canadians, things that I've already talked about, things that Canadians know where I stand. I know that people want to see an openness to dental care. They want to see commitment to pharmacare, real action on the climate crisis, dropping the appeal against Indigenous kids. These are some things I want to see in the throne speech. I'll meet with the Prime Minister tomorrow, and I'll have more to talk about after that.
Aujourd'hui, M. Blanchette a rencontré M. Trudeau aujourd'hui, puis il s'est montré ouvert à appuyer le discours du trône, lui, parce qu'il trouvait qu'il y avait assez de matière à travailler ensemble. Est-ce que ça vous dégage un peu de votre responsabilité vis-à-vis de ce discours du trône-là?
Non, pour moi, je veux s'assurer la population canadienne que je suis ici pour vous. Et si on manque des engagements pour améliorer la qualité de vie des gens, je vais voter contre le discours. Mais s'il y a une ouverture de faire ce qu'il faut pour avancer les intérêts des gens, les inquiétudes des gens, donc je suis prêt à travailler ensemble. Donc, je vais voir demain c'est quoi le résultat et je pense qu'on va parler encore après le discours, après la rencontre. Donc, oui, on va voir.
Juste savoir votre état d'esprit en arrivant à la rencontre demain. Est-ce que vous espérez être collaboratif? Est-ce que ça va être une confrontation? Comment vous voyez ça?
Moi, je veux être constructif. Je pense que les Canadiens veulent voir ça aussi. Ça, c'est pourquoi je ne veux pas donner des lignes rouges. Je veux être ouvert parce que c'est important de montrer les Canadiens vont faire une décision et je respecte cette décision. Et je veux travailler dans ce contexte pour avancer les intérêts des gens. J'ai parlé avec plusieurs personnes, des jeunes qui veulent voir des actions concrètes pour faire face à la crise climatique. Ils veulent voir qu'on fait des investissements dans les soins de santé. Ils veulent voir des actions concrètes et je suis prêt de travailler pour réaliser ces intérêts concrètement.
The Liberal government changed the procurement process for the fighter jets by basically making companies don't have to contractually obligate or guarantee that they'll reinvest in Canada. They did this for the F-35 so it can bid. Do you think that the government needs to undo that, basically disqualify the F-35 and go back to the old process, even if that means setting back the fighter jet competition by who knows how long?
It's a really important point. I think that the protections that were in there were actually important protections, and they were removed. I think the government can achieve the same result by making it a priority. If they choose to make jobs in Canada a priority, and if they can guarantee that with this massive amount of money that's being invested, that there are jobs that are guaranteed, then I think that we can move ahead. It's really a matter of priority, and it's a matter of making sure that jobs are protected in Canada. That to me it's got to be at the top of our priority when it comes to how we move forward. And if the government can make that commitment, I would have some confidence that these good workers are going to be protected.
Do that while maintaining a fair, transparent process without politically interfering in this?
I think it is possible, and that's why I'm asking the government to do it. I think Canadians expect them to do that. If we're going to spend $19 billion, we need to make sure that some of that money goes to benefiting Canadian workers. There's got to be that as a priority, and I can't accept that a government can't achieve that. Another example is when we saw Via Rail spend $1 billion on a contract for trains when we've got some of the best train-making capacity here in Canada, and there was nothing done to ensure that Canadian jobs were protected. That to me was a massive failure. I don't want to see that happen again. I promise the question.
Give us your thoughts on the Alberta government's bid to seek more autonomy for the province. What do you think about that?
So I think this is a distraction. What Premier Kenney is doing is, people are worried in Canada, in Western provinces. People are afraid. They're afraid for their jobs. And when people are afraid, some politicians use that fear to divide people. They divide people and start pitting people against each other. The workers that are worried about their future are worried because Mr. Kenney has cut also some of the basic things that families need. He's cut healthcare. He's cut education. He's made a difficult situation even worse. The same thing goes for Saskatchewan, and the same thing goes for Manitoba. When we see provinces where Conservative governments have cut services for people who are already worried about the future, that fear and insecurity grows, and they can drive more division. And that's exactly what Premier Kenney's trying to do, drive division. What he should be doing instead is finding ways to bring people together. As a leader, my job is to listen to people who are worried. There's workers that are legitimately worried, and that's wrong that they're afraid. We've got to do something to make sure that they're not afraid. Their fears are legitimate, but the approach of Conservative premiers has been to further divide people instead of looking for solutions. I want to work for solutions to solve the problems that people are faced with.
What are you seeking things like a provincial police service, more control over withdrawing from the Canada Pension Plan? How is that different from what Quebec is doing? And, you know, a province that you support, you support that province having more power and control over its affairs.
The contrast is this. Mr. Kenney is doing this, Premier Kenney is doing this simply to stoke division. He's not doing this for a genuine interest in making sure that people are going to be better off. People in Alberta are worried now because they don't have jobs. He needs to be talking about job creation. He's not talking about job creation. He should be talking about how to diversify the economy. He should be talking about how to solve the problems that people are faced with. People are worried about healthcare in his province. People are worried about education in his province. Instead of cutting in the billions of dollars those essential services, he should be talking about how to protect those fundamental things that families count on. What he's doing is just stoking more division. He's not trying to make life better for Canadians, and he's not making life better for Albertans. And that to me is wrong. He should be solving the problems that people are faced with instead of trying to find ways to divide us.
What leverage do you think you have
I have
with
to
the
go to
Prime
you,
Minister?
I feel like. Okay.
What leverage do you think you have with Mr. Trudeau tomorrow with 24 seats and not having talked to other opposition parties?
Well, he needs, if he wants to pass a national plan that benefits all Canadians across his country, he's going to need our help to do that. If it's a national progressive plan like pharmacare, if it's dental care, if he wants to do something that's going to improve the lives of Canadians across this country, the only partner that he has is the New Democratic Party. And I'm prepared to work together with Mr. Trudeau, but not if he wants to continue to benefit the rich and powerful, but if he wants to do something that helps out Canadians in a real meaningful way, I'm ready to work together with him. Thank you so much. I'll give you one last one.
Will you support the Liberals' middle-class tax cuts that they've campaigned on?
We'll look at that tax plan in more detail. We know that Canadians need supports, middle-class families need supports. We know that the way to do that is to invest in things like pharmacare and dental care. We know that there's ways to make sure people's lives are improved in a massive way with housing investments. And so those are our priorities, but we'll look at it in more detail and make those commitments later on. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.